Minecraft is a game of many different playstyles, which, in my personal opinion, is what makes it so popular. I mean, you've got PvP, building, adventuring, creative mode, survival mode, you've got mini games, you've got faction servers, technical Minecraft playing, complex Minecraft playing, keeping it simple, keeping it basic, going back to old versions of Minecraft. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many different things to do, and there's so many options that you have to play with. Now, for me personally, I play Minecraft so that I can be creative. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean playing in creative mode, despite the fact that I'm currently in a creative mode testing world, flying along in creative mode. You could definitely still be creative in survival mode, and the reason that Minecraft is so brilliant for creativity is because there really is no limitations. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything after you've bought the game, and you're not limited by things like physics. Look, most of these redstone contraptions are flying. But on the topic of limitations, in my personal opinion, that's kind of what gives Minecraft its charm, and that's one of the main reasons why I didn't necessarily click with modded. Now, you're going to have to hear me out on this one. With my personal experience in modded Minecraft, I found that you can create insane things like quarries or mining systems which locate all of the certain ores that you're looking for, and they just transport them into chests, and you can have like storage systems where you can search for items as if it's like a server and you can get the items from it. It's amazing, it's really interesting, and there's so many possibilities. But there wasn't much room for creativity. There was one really good way of doing it, and then all of the other ways, they weren't that brilliant. And the mod kind of did everything for you. One of my personal favourite things about vanilla survival Minecraft is the fact that I'm working with a really simple system. Redstone doesn't have that many components, and I'm trying my best to create complex things out of that set of simple components, which means I have to use my brain quite a bit. Having said that, it has been a while since I've played modded Minecraft, and my experience is relatively limited, so feel free to disagree with me down in the comment section. Not that I need to give you permission to do that, I'm sure you're already there. Right, so now that we've got all that out of the way and I've probably cheesed off about 80% of the viewers, let's begin to narrow things down, because creativity is a very broad term that covers a lot of different aspects. So first off, survival mode. So as I'm sure most of you already know, I've had a long-running series on the Hermitcraft server that has spanned 4 seasons and covered realistically about 400, maybe 500 episodes now, and I've clocked up a lot of playing time in the survival version of Minecraft. Now, for me personally, survival is amazing as a journey. I personally really enjoy the process of starting out with nothing and just building up from there. It's one of those things that I like to sink a lot of time into, and I like to work on over the course of around about a year to 2 years. Anything further than that and you start running out of ideas, but that seems to be the sweet spot for me. Now, it's always challenging. There's never a time when it's not challenging because you're trying your best to get resources, you're working up to the next big project, there's always mobs that could come around the corner and just completely destroy you, which, as someone who isn't particularly skilled at fighting off mobs, that's always a big risk for me, and there's always something to do as well. There's always another project on the horizon that you're working towards. Now, it is extremely rewarding once you finish that project that you've spent hours and days working on and gathering the resources for. It always feels good to finish it, but it's also extremely time consuming. As I said, there's a lot of different parts of the puzzle to survival mode playing, from the resource gathering all the way through to the actual building process. Everything's a little bit long-winded. There's no way of easily flying around and navigating things. You have to manually pillar up and everything like that. It can get a little bit hectic at times, and sometimes you just think, God, I wish I was playing in creative mode. Which brings me on quite nicely to the other side of Minecraft, which I absolutely adore, creative mode. Now, the good things about creative mode are really quite obvious. You don't have to gather up the resources, and also navigation is considerably easier. Now, the reason this is good is it allows you to actually focus on the project without having to worry about all of the other details. If I'm taking on a redstone project in survival mode, I have to think about all the resources that I'm going to need. I have to think about mining out a space so that I can actually do it. I need to make sure that I build it in a way that means I don't cut off access to certain spaces, because that would be daft. Whereas in creative mode, obviously you can fly in, and if really needs be, you can go into spectator mode and slip through the blocks. There's all sorts of different things and factors that are at play when you're building in survival mode that you just don't have to think about when you're playing in creative mode. Now, it's equally as rewarding simply because you're still working on projects that perhaps are quite complicated to solve, and at the end of it you can take a step back, or should I say fly back, and take a look at everything that you've done, and you can just get right down to business. As I say, no resource gathering, just get straight to it, start work on the problem. Okay, that was very broad, and we covered a lot of points there, and I know for a fact that I'm going to get hundreds of comments down in the comment section section asking me, which one do you prefer, survival mode or creative mode? And I'm going to be incredibly diplomatic, and I'm going to sit right on the fence and say that I like both of them equally. There are some days where I really want to play in survival mode, and there are other days where I really don't want to play in survival mode, and I just want to play in creative mode. It just depends on the day, and depends what I'm feeling. But what about if we get into specifics? Things that I personally really enjoy working on, whether it be projects in survival mode or projects to take on it in creative mode. Now, as I'm sure you've seen from the Hermitcraft server, farming is definitely up there. Now, it used to be in the early days of my YouTube channel that I would design farms in Redstone videos as well. I would come up with these designs, and then generally speaking, I'd end up building them on the Hermitcraft server. But there's a number of technical Minecrafters in the community now that are so good at designing farms, and they know the code of Minecraft, and they understand how everything works, that they can make the most efficient farms possible. So I don't tend to design farms anymore, I just build them. But I really enjoy the process of just getting tons upon tons of ridiculous quantities of resources that I'm probably never going to use, which brings me on to my next point, which is storage systems. I love building massive storage systems to store all of the items from my massive farms, creating giant systems that I can just have everything in, bulk storage, sorted storage, you guys get the picture. Now, when it comes to the redstone side of things, piston doors is definitely one of my favorites. Just because of the early days of Redstone, piston doors were pretty much all I ever focused on, and that's partly because there's just so much variety, different sizes, different styles, different animations of the doors. There's so many different ways that you can take it, which kind of brings me on to my next point, which is bunkers. A thing that I've recently gotten into is bunkers, because it kind of brings in everything that I enjoy in Minecraft into one place. You have to worry about security, you have to worry about doors, you have to have secret entrances, you have to have tramps, you have to have some form of farm down there so you can have food and everything like that. They're kind of the perfect project for me, and as you've seen, I've done quite a few of them. Oh, and apparently ocean bases are quite fun as well. But those are all things that I do relatively frequently. There's also other sides of Minecraft that I don't do that frequently because I find them incredibly challenging. But that doesn't mean that I don't find them fun, I just find them hard. For example, building things organically. This storage system right here was a huge challenge for me. You guys know I like building in shapes. Geometry and everything like that seems to fit well with my brain. This is not geometric in the slightest, and I found it incredibly difficult, but I'm very happy with the end result. Another thing that I often struggle with is slime block based redstone, building things like flying machines. It's definitely a big struggle. It's not something that I do particularly often, but once I finally get a design up and working, it makes me very happy. I mean, I really like this elevator. And of course, on top of that, there are certain elements of Minecraft that I don't do particularly often. Not because I find them challenging, even though I generally do, but because I don't particularly enjoy them. For example, PvP, I'm terrible at it. I feel like I was put in this Minecraft Earth to build, not to be killed. And also command blocks. They just don't go into my head. They don't click with me in the slightest. Now, I'm not saying that neither of these things is fun for anyone. I'm just saying that they don't work for me. Which actually brings me quite nicely onto the final segment of today's video, which is, what do you guys like most about Minecraft? Now, I've actually done a little bit of a Twitter question about this one, and I received a lot of responses. All of them seem to be relatively varied, which is surprising because I assumed that a lot of people would fit in with me because obviously you watch me, but no, everyone seems to be different. So the first one comes from Bexy, who just enjoys building. They can build whatever they really want to, from temples to mushrooms to houses, because they just love the creative aspect of it, which is pretty similar to me. I just like doing it with farms and redstone contraptions. Then we have Linrao, who says that they enjoy dying a lot. That's essentially it. They enjoy dying a lot, which I can't say I feel the same way, but I guess they just like the survival mode of Minecraft. We then have Anthony Ingram, who just enjoys exploration, just walking around trying to find awesome landscapes. That reminds me of an old school Minecrafter. I think us old school Minecrafters, we just love the fact that the world was infinite and generating naturally, and you would just go off and try and find the coolest landscapes. We've got Furry, who just enjoys the first few days of a new SMB server, and that's when everyone is manic, everyone's trying their best to get the first mending villages and all of the farms set up, all their resources together, and they're trying to build the infrastructure and nether hubs and connecting each other's bases. I have to say, I have got an incredibly soft spot for that time of Minecraft as well. When you've just started up a new world, everything seems to just be kicked into gear, and everyone's running at 100 miles an hour trying to get everything done really quickly. That is always really good fun, so I have to agree with you on that one. We have Eggmog, who just enjoys building big decorative projects in survival because they enjoy the grind, which is interesting. I feel like I'm kind of the same way as well. I like the grind of it, and I like having spent time on something to step back and say, hey, I spent a lot of time on this and it's ended up looking pretty cool. We've got CJ Garcher, who enjoys the terraforming in survival mode and making islands. That one's really interesting. That one really caught my eye. We've got the progression. So this person really enjoys mod packs and just doing milestones and just working on being a powerful player, which is pretty interesting. We have John Ball, who just enjoys building realistic structures, which is also awesome. And the bridge that he has attached in his tweet is amazing. Seriously impressive. I would never be able to do something like that. And then finally, we have got Real Tex, who says that they just like the survival side of Minecraft. Not into building big or doing anything large in terms of projects. They just like having the challenge of playing some survival. And they also seem to like green as well. Now obviously this was just a small selection of the tweets that I received, and I now want to open it up to you guys down in the comment section. What is your favourite element of Minecraft? What do you find most fun? Put in what it is and then explain why. I cannot wait to see all of your responses. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this slightly different video. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and as per usual, check out the latest film on the filming channel. It's a link on the end screen. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I think it's pretty good.